Hello, everyone. How are you doing? How are you? Welcome to Isabella Banks YouTube channel where we discuss all things Harry, Meghan, and their level up journey. If you're new here, I'm Wheezy, and it is absolutely fantastic to meet you virtually. So, how's your week been going so far? If you are the derangers, you are having one hell of a terrible week, and it's only Tuesday. Oh dear. Oh dear. Everything you try to do, every weapon you try to fashion against Harry and Meghan is not working. What are we going to do about it? Every weapon you try to fashion against that pesky pair, Harry and Meghan, is not working. So guys, as you know, we are going to be discussing the fact that we now have public confirmation that King Charles is a racist and he has been exposed by none other than one of his very own, Tom Bauer. Tom Bauer, yep, absolutely. Let me, let's see. Tom Bauer was caught in an interview discussing King Charles's preference for the white part of the Commonwealth in an interview on GB News. So, listen to this. Let me just get you the soundbite so that you can listen to the entire disgusting thing in its entirety. Shortly before he became king, because he neglected the Commonwealth. He liked going to the white Commonwealth countries. He liked going a lot to India, but he avoided Africa if he could. In his new job as king? I fear not. I mean, he never liked going to Africa. He was forced to go to Africa shortly before he became king, because he neglected the Commonwealth. He liked going to the white Commonwealth countries. He liked going a lot to India, but he avoided Africa if he could. One more time. I fear not. I mean, he never liked going to Africa. He was forced to go to Africa shortly before he became king, because he neglected the Commonwealth. He liked going to the white Commonwealth countries. He liked going a lot to India, but he avoided Africa if he could. In his new job. It's the audacity for me. It is the absolute freaking audacity for me. And if Charles is that much of a raging racist, right? That it has gotten to the point where his minions can no longer hide his hatred of black and brown countries. Can you imagine how much they really, really hate black people? What chance did Meghan have? If we can't even stand to go to their country, then can you imagine how he would have felt about their pure white blood being mixed with black blood, not just black blood, black African blood? Can you imagine? Lakiva says the royals aren't any good. Just my opinion. Yeah, they need to be thrown away. They should have been done thrown away a long time ago. And it looks like they are walking themselves to the point where they are going to be thrown away. Lady Rose says when he was exposed about Archie's color, he got cancer. Absolutely. Well, Sussex Love says, was there any question about him being a racist? Well, he has always denied it. And as long as he denied it in public, you kind of give them
the grace because he's denying it, because he's been pretending. So, in terms of what it means in the sphere, how are you openly racist when you are the head of the Commonwealth nations? Just like it seems like what Cat Williams said at the beginning of the year is it's running true. It's up 2024. All things will be exposed. All things will be exposed. Lady Rose says, now we know his real position towards our culture. Exactly. Exactly. You know, the British people are very good at subterfuge, throw stones and hide their hands. But when your hand has been shown in public, it shifts the dynamic. I can see Sussex Love. You know, I think in terms of pop culture, me and you were very much in tune. Very much in tune because a lot of people don't pay attention to these things. And these are the very important things that are happening now that give us an idea of what is actually going on around us. Anyway, so uh, just trying to work out how to do something. Bear with me a second. Uh, so I'm just going to share my screen so that you can see the. Whoop. Shh, shh, shh. So I'm just going to play this one. You guys remember when Piers Morgan outed King Charles and Kate as the named racists in Omid Scobie's book? All right, for those of you who are just joining the conversation, and I don't mean joining the live stream, I mean joining the conversation about the controversy between the royal family and Harry and Meghan, let me play this soundbite for you. I have another one. The royals who were named in this book are King Charles and Catherine, Princess of Wales. The royals who are named in this book are King Charles and Catherine, Princess of Wales. One more time. The royals who are named in this book are King Charles and Catherine, Princess of Wales. Okay. So you see, when that happened, when Piers Morgan outed King Charles as being the named racist, there was so much furor in the media and in the whole country was in uproar. And the funny thing is, it was even displaced anger because the all their anger was directed at Harry and Meghan as though they were the one who wrote Omid Scobie's book. Only for what? Only for what to happen? Only for his own people within the ranks to actually out him as being racist. What do they think it means when you say that he doesn't like to go to the black countries and that he prefers to go to the white countries? What do they think it means? When these claims against King Charles were made, what did Clarence House do? They never accepted the fact that uh, it was true. They denied it, right? They denied it. They said Clarence House has denied the claims in a new book that Prince Charles was the unnamed senior royal. They even said Prince Charles while he was king. I didn't even see that. Who speculated about the skin color of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's future children. American author Christopher Anderson alleges in his new book, okay, that was then, that Charles made the comment on the day Harry and Meghan's engagement was announced in November 2017. And since when the allegations came out, they did serious PR. Anyone tell me what these people do anytime there are allegations of racism? Anybody in the comment section? If you're listening to me, please tell me what you think. What do you think that the royal family do anytime anyone accuses them of racism? If you guessed taking photographs with as many black people as possible, you would be absolutely correct. It was black people spree the rest of that week. Look at this. He made sure to take as many photographs with as many black people that week as possible. But Auntie over here was not even having it. She was not having it. And Zainab Abdi says, so why are black people countries still part of the Commonwealth? This is the billion-dollar question. Why are they still members of the royal family? And Sussex Love says, and William celebrates sleeping rough with a black man. Absolutely. And everything, every double entendre that comes with that sentence. Every double entendre that comes with that sentence. Oh, wow. Mm. Sorry, just a moment. Uh, although it has never always been suspected, but the fact is that it was never confirmed in a public space, and they've done a lot of PR, damage limitation to that allegation, right? To ensure that the stench of a racism accusation was lifted off from Charles. So, what are they going to do now that he has been fingered by one of his own? I have a lot of theories about that as well, which we will come to. But although it might seem silly to assume otherwise, but we assume that because he walks Meghan down the aisle, that he couldn't have been racist. However, let's recall that the accusation of racism began from the Oprah interview, which has been discussed ad nauseum by a host of authors, but more famously by Omid Scobie, to widespread mockery by British people and the press. What is interesting is that this is not the first time King Charles has been named as the royal racist Meghan referred to in her and Harry's Oprah interview. Yeah. Look at this article. Does anybody remember seeing this? Exactly. But to tell you how horrible Charles actually is, I'm going to actually outline what really happened with this royal racist story. So I'll just reading two paragraphs from this article. Okay, so it will go really quick. It says, um, my sources are rock solid and they helped me unravel the mystery of which royal Harry and Meghan were talking about when they said a member of the family had brought up the issue of how light or dark their children might turn out to be, and that there might be concerns about what that would mean for the monarchy. I was able to trace the origins of the controversy back to Charles, casually asking Camilla what he thought Harry and Meghan's children might look like: hair color, eye color, complexion. Keep in mind that at the time, Charles was extremely fond of Meghan and had become friendly with Meghan's mother, Doria Ragland. Anderson says the remarks were the innocent musings of a grandfather that were twisted over time by palace operatives into something far more racially charged and toxic, so that by the time it reached Harry, he was shocked at what he was hearing. When Harry complained to his father, get this, Charles suggested that he was being oversensitive. Okay, let's leave that one alone. Let's move to the next page, right? On the next page, it says, to emphasize, when Harry's upset filtered back to Charles, Anderson writes, the Prince of Wales said his son was perhaps being overly sensitive about the matter, according to a courtier quoted by Anderson. Anderson writes, soon what might have begun as a benign question became the subject of intense conversation between Charles and Harry. I want that to sit with us for like 5 seconds. Imagine having an issue with something as serious as racism against your wife, and your father says you're just being oversensitive. You're just being oversensitive. So then, doesn't don't you think that that gives license to any person to do the same thing to Megan? But what did Megan actually say in the Oprah interview? When Oprah asked Megan about this point in the Oprah interview, Megan said that there had been conversations about how dark the skin of her child was going to be. Okay. And Oprah asked her, conversations with you? Megan said, with Harry, about how dark your child is going to be. She said, yes. Okay. Then the important bit was that Megan said that was relayed to me from Harry. Those were conversations that his family had with him. And I think, and Oprah had to stop her because Megan had become so desensitized that she was not even like telling the story with the full weight of the drama of that's this discussion deserves. Like she wasn't freaking out. She was just talking about it calmly. She had experienced the emotions and she was past it at this point. She's just telling her story so that she can make a way or clear the way for her own future. So, was it any wonder then for those people who were deniers of Megan's point of view? They said, oh, it's not true, and it's not true, and it's not true. Yet, there were 72 women in the UK government who called out the colonial undertones of the coverage directed at Harry and Meghan. And nothing has changed then, and nothing has changed today. This is 5 years later. Right, Joanne Baker. Absolutely correct. And I'm even coming to that point. Oh, if you're just joining us and you haven't subscribed, please go ahead to subscribe to my channel. If you have visited my channel before and you haven't subscribed, please go ahead to subscribe. Otherwise, I'm going to send those royal kings after you. Go ahead to subscribe now, 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 now. And for those who have already subscribed, thank you so much for subscribing and rocking with me as we go on this journey. We are going to see Harry and Meghan to their destination, to the end of time. All right. So, do you guys remember that when these racism allegations were made, Meghan wrote King Charles a letter? When she wrote him the letter, nobody heard about it. Actually, she was replying to a letter that he wrote to her. Because if you are to be believed, if this author who is talking about all of this was to be believed, when he was making the comments, he was not intending to be racist. And this is the reason why Harry gave him the grace and called his behavior, his questions, the discussion around it in the royal family as being unconscious bias, fearful of what it would mean for the royal family to have a dark colored child or a child with black blood, even if they're not dark, in their midst. Okay. And I'm just really loving the fact that all of this has opened up the discussion about racism and what is acceptable to say around the discussion of racism. I told you guys that I was going to tell you a story in my previous video. So while I was working one day in an office, so one of my clients came uh, and he said, "Oh, we had struck up. You know how sometimes you can have uh, strike up friendly interactions. Let me put it that way." With some of your clients more than others. Like some people, you're just starkly professional with them, and with others, you get really friendly because they're friendly in their interaction with you. And that was going well. And the job I was doing for him was going well as well until this scandal hit the news. By then, I was already, twitching in my seat. I was one of those people who was getting up and joining the Sussex Squad podcast every Sunday religiously. Like, you could not even tell me anything. So imagine this man trying to have a conversation with me. And he said, I have spent about 15 odd years in, I think it was South Africa or one of those kind of countries where they have a high number, sorry, of white people in their midst. They have white people in Nigeria, but by no means are they majority. They know their place in Nigeria. Nobody is taking anyone's land, and the women give themselves to you because they want to, not because they are forced to do. You can't take anybody's anything. You are the same opportunities as the other members of the other citizens in the country. Like there's no preference given to them. If they seem like they live a privileged life, it's just because they have more money, and so they have access to more exclusive places than the person on the street. I mean, for goodness sake, right now, what is by the time you do the conversion of £1 to £1, if you go to Nigeria right now with £100, you will buy yourself a whole lot of stuff because of the exchange rate. So that is the only difference. Like in Nigeria. Then the man says, well, I don't think that there is anything wrong with asking a woman what the color of her child is going to be. That's normal conversation. I said, okay, uh, already, like already, my my whole physicality had completely tightened up, but I was now struggling with my throat to keep it. I was struggling with my throat to keep it relaxed so that I could have this conversation without it descending into chaos. And so I said, well, just because you say so doesn't make it a thing. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, just because white people don't think that asking a woman or expressing concern of what color your child is going to be and what color the eyes of the child is going to be is not a problem for white people. That's not the same as saying your standard is not our standard. You have to understand that your standard, we don't live by your standard. We don't live by your standard. We live by our own standard. And it is your job, if you're going to be relating with us, it is your job to educate yourself on what is acceptable, just like we have to educate ourselves when we come into your midst. So, also, do you have to educate yourself when you come into our midst? He was like, yeah, but what's the big deal? The big deal is that we don't wonder what color. That's not how we think about it. We might wonder, who is this child going to look like more? Is it going to look like more of the dad or more of the mom? But we never say, oh, is this child going to have white to him? But I tell you right there, just even having the conversation with him, you see all that friendliness that we were having when we first started the transaction. I'm telling you, it all went out the window. I snapped into formal mode like right quick. I snapped into I snapped into formal mode right quick. I was just like, "Oh, you are telling me what is acceptable. You still think in the same way. You think because you've lived among us that you know us. No, you don't know us. When you even go to Africa, you stay whichever part of Africa that you go to, you stay in your exclusive houses. How many of you actually relate, understand, or take the pains to understand the culture? Not many of you. And when you do, you look down your nose at the people that you see, and you think, oh, well, white supremacy, white superiority, I know everything. No, you don't know. And most especially, you don't know about me. Anyway, so that was the conversation. And I just found it really funny. And that was when I now realized to myself, I just realized that, oh, you always thought that you could have a white boyfriend. No, 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 no. You're just not one of those people. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Ew, ew. And I'm laughing like that because I live in a place where I'm surrounded by mainly white men. So I've always been open minded, but then realizing that culturally it will always be a conflict because these people are this way into the core of their DNA, unfortunately. Anyway, so coming to this point that somebody made earlier, where they were saying that King Charles delayed in giving the Sussexes Sussexes children their titles, bec- and I didn't insert the actual article which explained what Charles's reasoning for delaying the uh, granting of the Sussex's children's titles was, but this person, and it's Kaiser, right, from Celebrity, who said King Charles feels his Sussex grandchildren titles need to be earned. His own title was never earned. His own title was never earned. So what are we talking about? And so the royal family are currently being snatched right now on Twitter, and this person is a Nigerian, Daniel Egu. He says Commonwealth of Nations is a colonial construct to further impoverish former British colonies. King Charles hates Africa, but they only want to steal all their wealth. Tom Bauer confirms how racist they are. Shame. This Tom Bauer we're talking about, he's the same one who said the monarchy's future depends on the obliteration of the Sussexes. But it seems to me that what he's succeeding in doing is warning his own self, warning is obliterating his own self. The royal family, and despite the fact that he obviously hates Harry and Meghan, perhaps on the same cellular level as Jeremy Clarkson. He attempted to write a book about them, but his book was so full of lies that the book got pulled off the shelves when a journalist confronted him about a lie that he had recounted in this his book. He must have lost so much money, and perhaps that's one of the reasons why he continues to go on and on and on and on and on about Harry and Meghan in a hateful way. And this has been going on for years now. But I tell you what, I tell you what, you would think that when they make a mistake, that they will correct themselves. But it appears that the royal family are incapable of correcting themselves because following Harry and Meghan's wildly successful trip to Nigeria, guess the reaction. Guess the reaction. King Charles thinking of taking steps to stop Commonwealth inviting Meghan and Harry to visit. Now, King Charles wants to block Harry and Meghan from being able to travel to other Commonwealth countries for Invictus. Guys, we all know that the practicalities are nigh on impossible, but it tells me that the royal media, and yes, I did do that on purpose. I call them the royal media because at this point we should stop pretending that they are two separate entities, right? Let's just call them the royal media. Are still fighting to block Prince Harry and Meghan's charitable and business endeavors. So apart from us feeling for them, like feeling emotionally for them, they continue to need our help. And this, my friends, is a lovely segue into Activism Tuesday. This is a lovely segue into Activism Tuesday. So, the Commonwealth of Nations are sovereign. England has no power over the Commonwealth of Nations. Charles is merely a figurehead, plus the Commonwealth will never put Charlie on the currency ever. Why are we still there? And the internal operations of the Commonwealth are not common knowledge. So that tells me that there is more to it. I went onto their website. I tried to find out, okay, what are the rights? What are the responsibilities? What are the rules and regulations of this organization? Why are we here? I could not find anything on the website. Couldn't. There was nothing on there. So that tells me that there is more to the being part of the Commonwealth that is disclosed to non-governmental organizations. Perhaps they have, and this bears very close. This means, and I'm just going to say it, this means that whoever the leaders of the governments are, the governments of the nations that are included in the Commonwealth, they have to join some kind of society. If you go to the Commonwealth website today, you go check it out and see whether I'm right or wrong. And please come back and tell me. I stand to be corrected. There was no outline of what the rights, the responsibilities of any of the parties involved in this Commonwealth of Nations. If it is just a benign organization where Charles is just the head of state and he bears no influence on the members of the Commonwealth, why are we there? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Why are we there? Why are we there then? If there is no bearing, like there's nothing, if there is no, if it is a benign organization, you can go in and go out as you please. Why are we there? We're getting nothing from being part of the Commonwealth. We're getting nothing. Being part of the Commonwealth did not give us free movement. Being part of the Commonwealth does not give us favorable trade deals. It doesn't do anything. So I'm not quite sure why we're still there. So there must be some agreement that is being enforced behind the scenes that is not disclosed to the public. And I think it's all connected to the Freemasonry and the whatever secret organizations that the Commonwealth nations have to join. And even when the African nations And even when the African nations do their elections, the elections are continually interfered with so that the power structure that has been put in place to protect the monarchy is not interrupted. Think about, I mean, people in France have been agitating to leave the Commonwealth, and France has been refusing to let them go. And they came out and actually exposed France for taking so much money from them that they cannot use the money to develop their country. So it's kind of like put them under indirect slavery because they are forced to go and take loans from is it, what do they call them? Is it United Nations or these international bodies where they go to take huge amount of money, and the country has to service the loan. Meanwhile, I am sure from what the people of the French Francophone former colonies, the French former colonies say, the interest and what they have to pay to, what they have to pay to France every year is so much that when they're done paying it, they don't have money to take care of the essential things that their country needs. So they have to go borrowing money. And when they borrow money, they have to pay for the loans that they take, which puts them under indirect slavery because everything that they earn after they have paid the former colonizers the money is being used towards taking care of these huge loans that they have to take. Wendy Lohman, the British monarchy are German descent. Yes, I know that. In 1917, after World War One, the royals changed their German name, House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, because of the anti-German feelings by the British people. Yeah, I know this. This I know. Harry, actually, I knew more about it when Harry wrote the book Spare because every almost every page on that book was a history lesson, and I love to research. So as I was reading the book, I was googling everything, and I saw the history. I've lived in this country almost 25 years, and I never knew it as in much depth as I did when I read The Spare. Patricia Scotland is the Commonwealth Secretary General. She's a black woman. Yeah, they always have um, people of the country, people of the nations to sell out their own. She's just to sell out. There's no way you can work among these people. It's just like telling me that you're not a racist and yet you go to work for GB News. How? How is that possible? So she must be among the people. They're one and the same. Marvin Kettle says the Commonwealth Group of Nations in past was to do trade, but really it's for money laundering and raping countries with wealth. That is why QE2 love the Commonwealth much. Yeah, I can believe that because they would have brought the UK a lot of wealth. They must have brought the UK a lot of wealth. So what are we saying? Yeah. So we need to come out of the Commonwealth, and it looks like their treatment of Harry and Meghan is going to instigate this happening. And this brings me to Activism Tuesday. So, for those who are visiting my channel for the first time, on this channel, sometimes we take action when things are happening. I believe that even if we don't have the kind of money that the 1% of the 1% in which Harry and Meghan operate have, we can do our bit. So I would say if you haven't already subscribed to the Nigerian Invictus YouTube channel, let's support them. Let's get them up. We've done a good job of getting them up to 191 subscribers. Let's finish it by getting them to 1,000. Money is power. When you have your own money and you're able to do stuff, you are likely to become independent and you can take decisions on your own. Let's help them get independent. They're doing the work, they're showing up and they're trying to do something. Let's help them finish it. So, I am dropping the link for the Nigerian Invictus Games in the chat. Please go ahead to subscribe to their channel. There's over 500 people in the chat. There are over 500 people currently watching this video. Please go ahead to please go ahead to subscribe to the channel. Hi, John. I'm not talking about money now. I'm just talking about going to subscribe, like clicking the subscribe button on the channel to become a subscriber of their channel. This is not about donating money to them at all. This is about clicking on the subscribe button on their channel so that when they put videos on their channel, they can get monetized quickly and they can start earning money for themselves. I'm not asking for money at all. Please don't think that I'm asking for money. It's just to go subscribe to their YouTube channel. Let's get them up to 1,000 subscribers so that they are in a position to get monetized by YouTube and they can start earning their own money. Thank you all for listening to my mini TED Talk. Hi, Cynthia. How are you going? Good to see you. We missed you on Saturday. How are you? Thank you, Marilyn. She said just did. Thank you. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for subscribing. Let's get them to 1,000 subscribers, please. This is for those who might have been thinking that this is about money. It's not at all about money. Just go to the YouTube channel and click subscribe. Oh, I was talking about Invictus Games. Okay, okay, okay. Yes. Okay. All right. I'm not gonna. We're not gonna do too much. So if you're done subscribing to the Invictus Games, there is now a campaign. If you're on Twitter, there is a campaign on Twitter called "Stop Funding Hate." Uh, One of the reasons why Talk TV had to close down was because there has been a campaign on Twitter to discourage their advertisers from renewing their contracts with Talk TV. I don't know if we can replicate that, but if you're on Twitter, please make it a point to go follow the campaign and also retweet. They are currently doing a campaign recommending that the advertisers of talk no of GB News stop instructing them to stop funding them. So I am going to drop one of their tweets in the chat so that we can retweet it. This is so that we can retweet it and you can see what I. How many of you are on Twitter? If you're not on Twitter, don't worry about it. Though, if you're interested in gentle activism, these are one of the things that you can do. All you need to do is to just retweet a tweet encouraging people to encouraging GB News's advertisers to stop funding GB News. If they're starved for funds, GB News will have no choice but to close down. You don't even have to say your name or anything, it will just happen on its own. Okay, I'm going to drop the link for the. I dropped the link in the chat. If you're on Twitter, click on the link and just retweet that link. Okay. Then, Cynthia, what are you asking me about? Let me see. Did we discuss the non-story of the delinquent nonsense? It was a clerical error that the foundation has already rectified. You know what? I didn't even want to talk about it because it was obviously with everything that has to do with Harry and Meghan. That was them just trying to start a firestorm, trying to make it look as if Harry and Meghan had done something wrong. So I didn't even really want to highlight it because I could see that the Ranger channels were going crazy with it. They were so excited by the news. No, I didn't discuss it. I didn't want to. Sussex Love. I saw the story, but I didn't want to discuss it. But it's all good. We don't need to worry. Um, if you've ever run a company, you would know when it's time to file your annual report, it is really just an administrative thing. I think the Sussexes sent a check, or the story was initially that they sent a check with the papers, and the office say they didn't get the check, and so they put a delinquent notice on on Archewell. But it turns out that it was even a clerical when it was investigated. I'm sure the Sussexes got their legal representation on the matter. and they've turned around now to issue an apology or at least a statement saying that it was a clerical error and the delinquent notice should never have happened. There you go. So you see, Cynthia says, I was watching the news earlier and they had maybe 2 minutes on it, and the reporter immediately noticed it was a simple clerical issue that had been taken care of. There you go. That's why uh, I didn't want to talk about it, because I could see that, because that's what they always do. Anytime the successes just complete a successful tour, they want to muddy it. They want to use negative headlines to tamp down on the success that the Sussexes have just experienced. It's almost predictable that they would want to do that every time they just complete doing something. Okay, and then we've got the last one. The last one is this one. So now there is a petition going on demanding King Charles to resign as head of Commonwealth due to racism allegations. So it's gaining momentum. It's gaining momentum, and you can do. It's gaining momentum as we speak. And wait, hold on. I had the I had the let me see, the link. You don't have to do it now. You can do it later if you care to do so. But let me just get the link for you. Just a second. Let me just for you. There you go. So you can take the link and go ahead to vote. I want to see this. Wendy says that new portrait of Charles looks so satanic. Honestly, I don't know what they were thinking about. I don't know what they were thinking about. But before we move on to the next thing, I've dropped the link for this change.org petition in the chat. If you want, you can come back to it after the live stream to fill in the form. But yeah, it'd be good if we are able to get that to give that petition momentum. Okay. Now, Wendy Lohman, yes. Okay, you went. That's not for me. Have you guys seen the portrait? I wasn't going to talk about this because it's just one of those things that is so silly. But let me show you the portrait. Just a second. Let me just show you the portrait right quick. Okay. Just give me a moment. It was such a mistake. Every time they do something, they keep on making such a bad painting. Everything the royal family does is so mediocre. It's ridiculous. That is a caption should read for the painting. Charles straight out of hell. Okay. Let me share my screen so that you can see it. For those who haven't seen it, ta-da! Oh, look at me thinking I was doing something. It didn't do what it was supposed to do. Uh, Cynthia, what are we activism right now? Okay, so we have done the subscription to the Invictus Nigeria. And we have done the Stop Funding Hate account on Twitter. And then we did the demand for Charles to resign from as head of Commonwealth. It would be lovely to see that petition get millions of votes by tomorrow morning. Look at this. Straight out of hell is absolutely right. He is getting dragged by even his own people. Like, this is some dragging. Ah, I hope he didn't commission this, like pay money for this. He said that painting took a life of its own. The devil's own is Charles. Oh my word. My word. Lady Ru, okay. That is some demonic. Yep. No, that's how stupid they are. That painting, yes, it's absolutely like. Did he actually finish painting it and think I have done a good job? Did he actually finish thinking it and just think to himself, wow, that's amazing. I have done such a brilliant job. Wow. Wow. Or is it that somebody actually compared this photograph to a photograph of Obama, right? So Obama was, I think, sitting against some leaves and they called it evergreen. But this, like, because they say that the colors they use around the figure of the person in the photograph is symbolic, right? So I imagine that they were trying to say that Charles is strong. I don't know. But Cynthia is right. He looks absolutely evil in this painting. The artist captured his evil soul. Absolutely. Oh my God. He is getting dragged. When you say someone is getting dragged, he is getting absolutely dragged all over Twitter by his own people as well, which is worse. Yep. it is particularly pitiful and very, very difficult to look at. That is what Charles has accomplished this week, my people. That is what he has accomplished real this week. And since we are still here, let me share with you. Uh, let me share. Hold on. Let me share the tweet that went so viral that a member of the Royal Rota was almost shutting down his account because they are so used to doing this nonsense that they don't even realize when they're overplaying their hand. So we got this from a member of the Royal Rota. I think he's a journalist, saying Harry and Meghan are so desperate to show that they are still royal in the eyes of the world. Just like the Duke of Windsor took Wallis on a tour of Germany in 1937, they were greeted ecstatically. Nigeria's human rights record is not far short of Nazi Germany. Can you imagine? Oh, when I say that the Nigerians tackled this foolish man, they dealt with him right quick, like right quickly. They dealt with him quickly. Anyway, guys, that's all. That is all I have for this evening. I hope that you were able to get the links that I shared. I think maybe after the live stream, I will share the links again on my community page so that you can go on there and access the links just in case the chat was moving too fast for you and you actually did want to participate, but you couldn't because the chat was moving too fast. And for everybody else, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I think we've discussed particularly important things. Oh, before uh, let me see. Ocean Star says this petition has been a long time coming. Thanks for posting the link. Finger red number one. Oh my god. Anyway, so guys, that's me all done for this evening. It's been a long night. Let's head up out of here. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Cynthia, for being here. I know that you are currently headed up against the deadline. Are you done? Are you done? I hope you are uh, on course with what you're doing. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here with me. Until Thursday, have a good night. And as Cookies and Cream says, everyone please stay safe, pray, don't peg, and always hydrate. All right. Good night. Bye.